So I woke up this morning to Hassan in a MAGA hat. And look, I don't mean to be this person, but I'm going to be. I think I might be that woke friend, like who's too woke. But I actually don't think the concept exists because I think if it has good data and good reasoning, then you're not too woke. You're just right. So I don't know. You guys can tell me what you guys think. But there is a channel that we've talked about in the past called The Necessary Conversation. You probably recognize this man's face. That's the Sun. And oh my God, chat says I thought you edited that on him. I would never edit a MAGA hat on anybody unless I hated them. And I don't hate Hassan. No, he really wore that hat for a whole fucking segment on his channel. Okay. Which to me feels very fucking tone deaf, but let's talk about it. Okay. I blocked this channel on TikTok after we talked about them because I just think they're so negative and it's bad that they have a channel. So they're called The Necessary Conversation. And this is an example of Hassan watching them before he then yesterday had them on his stream. So this is just an introduction so you understand who these people are.
Sends in the Marines to let's say Trump sends in the Marines to Los Angeles, California. And let's say I'm out going to see a movie on a weekend. And he says, go into that shopping mall.
Under a truck.
Quiet piggy. He says, go into that shopping mall and kill everyone you see. And let's say I get gunned down by the Marines for just being at a mall.
Okay, number one,
All for
let's just take it one
Dad,
step
wait a minute,
further.
Mom. Dad, you just said you are for Donald Trump murdering me for no reason. And you would support that.
If he walks into a mall to people with military,
There has to be a reason.
there's a reason. And I'm all for it. And the people in Los Angeles, California are as deserving of execution as the assholes in New York City. You're all communists.
What is really funny is for those of you who don't know this podcast at all, they go, did he just say mom and dad? And the answer is yes. To which I repeated, I don't think we can live normally in a country where 20% of the population operates like this. We need cult deprogramming. Like, you can't really have a country if 20% of the population straight up thinks like, yeah, no, all the commies deserve it, including my own children. This is, once again, something that I talk about all the time. This is a byproduct of creating a malleable population because you pay wild education. The public schooling system is completely in a dire state of disrepair. There is a massive class disparity in educational attainment and educational outcomes in general. And that creates an environment where there's a lot of people who are just not very intelligent. People who are stupid are malleable. They're easy to manipulate.
Okay, so I don't disagree with any of that. I do disagree with the fact that he just platformed them on his stream. And I want to talk about it. I want to talk about how, we've been having a lot of discussions about leadership and when is someone going to be the adult in the room? Obviously, it's not Hassan, and that's okay. I mean, he's literally younger than me, just for the record. And I'm telling you, I'm not ready to be the adult in the room, but I'm going to take it pretty seriously. And I'm just curious, like, when are we going to have that serious conversation about being, adults in the room? Now, this Son's platform, I'm not a fan of. This is the Son. These are the parents. And then the sisters at the bottom. I'm not a big fan of it because apparently he kind of had stopped talking to his parents and then talked to them again to basically make this show. And so, this show is him asking his parents things and then getting their reaction. So here's the first thing. One, as a person with MAGA parents, I love my parents too much to ever do this to them. So one, he must really hate his parents, because I'm sorry, I just cannot imagine a reality where I would drag my parents through the streets or the internet in this way, humiliate them, make them the butt of every joke, hate them to such a point that I would drag them on Hassan's channel, let alone my own TikTok channel. Because look, one, it pushes their agenda, which is bad. And two, it's like, why do you want the internet to come at your parents like this? Like, half the comments on his TikToks are, when is your dad gonna die? I can't wait till your dad dies. Is this the episode where the dad dies? How is that helping humanity? Okay, let me show you just this segment here. Oops, hold on. Let's start off here and we'll have the conversation. Whoops.
What about Donald Trump? Were you lifelong Republican voters before then? Like, how did this happen?
Go ahead.
Yeah, I've been a Republican all my life, but it got more intense when we lost the election to Obama.
Okay.
Because I saw him as a far left-wing liberal who didn't give a rat's ass about the United States.
Okay.
Was there anything else about Obama you didn't like?
Yeah.
That was pretty much it.
Okay, so they laugh, right? Like, no, you know that dad was racist. You know he was racist. You know he said other things about Obama, birth certificates and other things, okay? But see how in this he gets to play it off like that's not true? And so now you're platform a guy, just like you do Nick Fuentes, who just looks like a nice guy, really. See, this is the problem. Like when you take people who are extreme and then you let them on your big platform, and I know Hassan's platform thinks like, I'm never going to fall for this, da, 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 da. And I know he says crazy things already, but they do this thing where they get to pretend like you didn't say that crazy shit when no one was watching.
That was the
okay.
main thing.
I mean,
It was the main thing.
okay.
Chad, I
Mom,
had a quick question. I can't see your face because there's this thing in front of it. How do I move that?
how do you move what?
Just gonna put my
I can't
apolitical
see your
hat
face.
on as well for the rest
nice.
for the duration of the interview. I don't know if you can see it.
Nice.
Yes, I have one to match. I could go get mine, but I can't move the camera much.
Yeah, no, don't worry about it.
All right, so Dad, you got radicalized around Obama. Mom, I assume it's basically the same. I mean, we've talked about this on our show. It's
So the ethics around him, you say, even if he doesn't like his parents, so Chet says not everyone likes their parents, right? So he's basically taking two elderly people who never had a channel to begin with and started a channel with them to basically make money off of their ignorance and their bigotry. I don't think this is harm reduction. So I think from the son and daughter's perspective, this is like deeply weird to me. I literally had to block them on TikTok because I was like, yo, this is unhealthy, bro. And then now Hassan has them on because they think it's funny. And it's like, haha, look at the circus freaks. Again, this is a philosophy channel, okay? So I'm interested in the philosophical answer of how to harm reduce, and I'm interested in how to get humans into a better world. Okay? So I just don't understand how this is helping.
basically the same for you, but I also think
And why would Hassan wear that hat? Again, okay? Everyone has a different standard, and you can call me the too woke friend, but I feel like wearing a MAGA hat in 2016, like he might as well just wear a swastika. You know, it's weird. I mean, even the MAGA people didn't come with a MAGA hat. Isn't that interesting? Like, why is he wearing that? And I know he thinks it's a joke, but I don't see the joke. And maybe I'm just humorless right now because I'm in like serious. I'm trying to get like serious girl. Maybe I feel like, okay, I love a joke too, but what's the joke? You know, I don't get what the joke is.
living in close proximity to Dad kind of locks you into a certain mental trap, a perpetual cycle of fear, aggression, anger. Hello?
I just think being raised in the little town we were in too, growing up as kids, our environment. I mean, you know, the environment that you live in, kind of.
I mean, I guess,
were-
but Chad and I grew up in your house, and we didn't turn out anything like you guys. So I can't really, you can't really.
I blame that on your tour of duty in California and Colorado.
And Chad is right. Like Hassan is obviously mocking them. He wears a much bigger hat later, which I understand maybe soften the dad up to Hassan. What is Hassan's goal with this? You know what I mean? Again, is our goal, like, it's different if you're trying to get through to your MAGA parents, you're trying to get through to your MAGA family, you're trying to love your family. But like, I don't think this is what this is, you know? And look, maybe there's a miracle that's about to happen. And this guy is about to be like, honestly, bro, I fucking loved Hassan Piker so much. I denounce MAGA. And then that would be amazing. And I would be wrong. And I'd be like, whoa, Hassan is so smart. This is great. Let's start interviewing all of our MAGA family. Let's start bringing on all the Nick Fuenteses again because, you know, they're just conservatives. What's the difference between platforming Nick Fuentes and these people? Aren't they just content creators? Like, yeah, Nick Fuentes is now rising up. But remember when everybody was mad, and I was mad too, that people were collabing with Nick Fuentes before he was famous? Why aren't they the next Nick Fuentes? How do you know this couple isn't about to be invited to the White House? How do you discern when is the best time to collab? When are you collabing with people out of compassion? And when are you collabing with people? You know what I mean? Like, there is a good chance the White House reaches out to this family and says, we love your parents. We want them to come. And you know they would, right? And I ask this question because I struggle with this too. I literally decline collabs all the time because I'm like, hey, bro, you're too close to the right, dude. Like, you're too close to, like, I can't. Like, I ask people before I collab with them, like, hey, are you like a Nazi? Like, I know this is a weird question, but like, are you a white supremacist? Because I'm just like, I don't, you know, I already got so much flack as it was for even having conversations with people to begin with that I was like, yeah, you guys were right. But then what's happening here? You know what I mean? What is this? How? I don't see the difference maybe because the values are the same, you know? Now it'd be different if Hassan was in a different position, right? If he was coming as a politician, if he was coming as a loved one or as a therapist, If he was coming as a philosopher, it'd be different, you know, because I do believe that. Okay. I'm very like, I get it, right? But that's not the role he's playing. He's kind of just playing like streamer bro, kind of like the political guy, the I have a MAGA hat too, which is so weird too. Why do you even have that hat? That's what I'm saying. Girl, that hat is nowhere in my house. We are not buying MAGA hats or gifting MAGA hats. There's no reason for him to even have that hat. You know what I mean? So like, what are we talking about here? There's all of this to be, all of these questions I have. Okay.
Colorado, you got tainted by a bunch of lefties.
It's environmental.
That's not true at all.
No, it is true.
I left Texas in high school to come to California willingly as fast as I
Right.
could, and I've never left. So I don't think it was.
Stop the bullshit. You did that so you could go to USC's film school.
Yeah.
That's the only damn reason you went to California.
Correct.
So you think they weren't libtards in Texas and they became libtards when they moved to California? Is that what's going on?
It didn't happen overnight. Chad's lived in California longer than he's lived anywhere else.
It's just
Haley
simply not
Smith-
true. That's not
What are you
true.
talking about?
We just didn't talk politics when we were younger. It wasn't, it was a moot point. Like when I was in high school, I didn't give a shit about any of this. It wasn't until I became an adult and then as a parent that all of this really started to matter to me. And I happened to be in Colorado, but I was never conservative, even when I was a teenager. I mean, I was like, you know, on the boys baseball team and wearing like traditionally, I would say masculine clothes. Like I've always kind of pushed boundaries and kind of lived on the fringe. It's not that this is anything new or that Colorado made me that way. I've been this way. You guys use that as an excuse, but it's just simply not true.
She did have a wallet chain in high school. I remember that.
Bob, do you feel like you're
Address-
having responsibility as a parent that both of your children became so liberal and you're kind of saying like, oh, it must be California and Colorado?
Well, I can tell you one thing. If Chad would have remained in Texas and took the other scholarship to play baseball at Trinity, it would have been a hell of a lot different than he is now.
I don't know if that's
There's
true.
that.
I don't
As
know if
far
that's
as
true.
Haley's concerned, she got nested with a bunch of liberals that were so far left, it's ridiculous.
And look, this is what my parents say too. You were so much smarter when you were 10. Batsy, we love you. Look, my parents are immigrants from Iraq. Like my parents are like, we're Assyrian. So like, it's really weird when I see like completely just like the whitest people, you know, and we're all having this conversation. To be fair, we are a white family. I mean, look at me, you know what I mean? But like, it's so weird when you're even an immigrant and you're like, this conversation's the same. You were so much smarter when you were 10. You got, you know, you started watching liberal media and hanging out with liberal people. And that's why you are so messed up now. I mean, my parents cry when their kids tell them they're in therapy. They literally throw a tantrum. Like, no, therapy. Okay. Not that Hassan would know because he's never gone to therapy. But the point is, okay, it's a really devastating reaction to get from your parents when you say, "Hey, I'm in therapy," and their reaction is to have a meltdown. It is really weird to have a conversation with your parents where they, you know, people always say, do you think parents of gay kids end up more liberal? Well, my mom and dad have 3 gay kids and they are moving more conservative every day, if that's even possible. Okay? Like, I love my parents enough not to put them through this, but I love my family enough to keep trying. But this doesn't feel like love to me. This feels like torture. This feels like very cruel behavior. You know, I get it if you don't love your parents, but isn't that the point of the content we consume? See how people wonder why the world is the way it is? It's like a reflection of us as a whole. What is the point of this collaboration? And we're going to get into it. This other content creator I really like, she put out these 2 new videos I haven't even seen yet. I'm excited to watch them with you about forgiving MAGA. And she says, I'll never forgive Trump voters. And I want to have that serious conversation with you because I don't think that's how forgiveness works. To me, forgiveness is both for the self and for others, but it's for me to say, I let go of the attachment to the outcome. Okay? I am a philosophy girly. It says that I am purely a biological creature existing on a planet, and I'm having an experience, an observation, an experience. I'm living in the most present. I want to love people out of bigotry, but that's not how it works. You love people even if they're bigoted, and you put down boundaries. You can love your bigoted family and never talk to them again. You can love your bigoted family and see them very rarely, or put down boundaries, or have limitations. Like, love, unconditional love, doesn't necessarily tell you what the action will follow. Like, oh, if you love me, you'll always talk to me. No, right? So when I think of humanity and I think of humanity in the state that it is, it's obviously suffering. When I look at humanity in the state that it is, it's obviously just so, it's screaming for help. And the only help we can give is mocking. The only help we can give is signing people, like writing people off. And listen, you should be writing people off, even for the smallest thing, but to the extent in which you make that action, it matters. So I'm not saying, like, if you're on a date with a person and you're like, nope, I don't like that, forget it, don't date them. I think you should write people off. But that doesn't mean writing people off must then follow with torture or bigotry. I'm going to write you off does not have to then follow with I'm not going to feed or clothe you or educate you or house you. Okay, so I might write you off in one aspect, like maybe as friends, but I'm still going to advocate for your right to get health care. Okay, because right now in the state that we're in, especially if you go back to the beginning of stream, people advocating for us to mark MAGA people and to brand them and stuff, that's not the future I want. I want a future that educates and houses you, even if you're a Nazi. I want a future that says, hey, I see you're struggling, bro. Here are the avenues for liberation when you're ready. I'm not saying be friends with Nazis, but I'm also not saying, take them out back and shoot them. I will never advocate for the solution being killing other people. In the very rare cases of self-defense, that is a different conversation. But we are not talking about, violence as a solution here. That's never going to be my solution. I'm talking about abolishing prisons, and you're talking about branding MAGA. Like, we're not even on the same page. When I say progressive, I mean also towards the future, towards healing, towards peace. Okay? So how can you have those two things? And I know if you're afraid, you're afraid. But see, that's what MAGA people are. They're afraid. Afraid, loud, and wrong. And I'm saying you can be afraid, but don't be loud and wrong. And don't sit there and talk about annihilating a whole group of people or killing a whole group of people and think you have the upper hand here in values. Nah, bro. And by the way, just another reminder that I don't believe in objective morality. I do think we are evolved animals on a planet, and I believe we can have a deeper relationship with our biological experience, and I don't believe in objective morality. Okay? But I expect progressives to understand that because MAGA doesn't even understand that atheists have values, right? I grew up with MAGA parents who think, like, they told me in November, the last time I talked to them, they literally told me, you're an atheist. What do you know about morals anyway? And I was like, girl. But now we have these progressives who think like, oh, I'm the only one with morals. Let's genocide half the population. Girl, no genocide for anyone, period.
May I say something, please?
What?
May I?
Of course.
Sorry.
I do love the boomerness of these parents, though. That is pretty funny.
Christ.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
This is unbelievable.
I'm a mess.
You're doing
so sorry.
doing fantastic. Don't worry about it.
No, I'm not.
No,
I'm
you're
not.
doing
Oh my
a
God.
great job.
There you go. You got it. You're
Okay.
good. You're good.
Maybe I'll just go
Just
from
leave
me to
it like
him.
there, yeah.
Okay, I would like to say this. I think some of their political beliefs and what they believe in is my fault because I gave them too much freedom growing up.
Oh, that's such a good conservative answer. They are perfectly conservative parents.
I mean, I gave them way too much independence. Now I'm trying to reel them back in, and I can't get them.
Reel me. I'm 49 years old. You're never
Yes.
going to reel me back in.
Yes. Yeah.
I've always said like,
No, but you're going to come to the day where you're going to have to choose between the lifestyle you have now or communism. And that will be a distinct choice you will have to make.
Okay.
okay, I'd like to say one more thing. Thank you. I've always said until the day I'm 6 foot under and I die, if I feel like you're making like a big, weird thing that you shouldn't be doing, a decision, I would try to help you. I would try to.
Okay, so Chet says mom kind of seems sweet deep down. Guys, Nazis are really nice people. I don't know what to tell you. That's what I'm saying. Guys, the world is full of really great, nice people who will let Trump murder you without blinking an eye. Yeah. My parents are some of the nicest people in the whole world, and they still voted for Trump. You know what I mean? It's not about niceness or cuteness or like, yeah, people are nice. They are sweet. I've had the greatest time with some of the most misogynistic men in the whole world. I've had a great time with. You know what I'm saying? I can get along with anybody until shit gets real. And really what matters the most is when shit gets real. You know what it's like? It's like being in a relationship with somebody and the first year of relationship is amazing. And then you start to realize when shit gets real, like, who did I marry? That's the point. Okay? They're nice. Yes, Chad says they need to make a distinction between being nice and not good. Exactly. Like, and look, I think as an animal species, most people are good. But what does that matter when we're talking about like bigotry? You know? Bigotry is bad. You don't want to be bigoted. And if you're bigoted, okay, then we're going to have a problem. Okay, so that's the dilemma. It's like, are you going to do the right thing when it counts? Are you going to do the thing that matters? You know? And then you have to ask yourself, like, look, I ask myself this all the time. What is my responsibility with platforming people? What is my responsibility with how I treat people? Because again, I wouldn't want to have MAGA people on just to make fun of them. I don't want to be that person. You know, it's one thing to make a joke with you guys. It's one thing to make a joke, but I don't actually want to have people on to make fun of them. It doesn't feel good to me. Now, people might say, oh, that's two-faced because when they're not here, you make fun of them. I feel like that's very different. Because the idea is like, if I'm face-to-face with you, now we're actually trying to build something, right? Are we trying to build something? Well, I can't make fun of you and build something. But if you're not here, I'm also going to make fun of you. But if you want me to make fun of you in front of your face, I can, but that means we're not going to build. And then people will say, well, if you want to build, you can never make fun of people ever, I guess. Yeah, but I don't always want to build with everybody either. I am not willing to build with people that won't also do the work. So I'll make fun of you. Maybe I'll crack a joke, you know? And the truth is like, if you are ready to build that bridge, you won't care that I made that joke because you know that joke was warranted because of your behavior. You know that joke was warranted because of what you did. Because the kind of people, it's like when you talk about men, you're like, oh, men. And you've got the husbands that are like, man, as a man, I just feel so like unloved, like nobody gets me. Okay, they're not doing the work. But then you have another man who's like, oh, men. And you're like, I know, right? And they're like, I get it. But they actually do get it. They actually do get it. That's what you want. You need people who actually do get it. So even when you make the joke, they can see where you're coming from. Or even when you make the comment, they see where you're coming from, right? Discord said nice in quotations. People have also been serial killers and rapists, 100%. Some of the nicest people you know. That's what I'm saying.
Talk with you, try to communicate and figure this out. Well, it's getting way too hard. I can't do it anymore.
Okay. Can we?
So they're struggling to communicate with their kids. We're struggling to communicate with their parents. And I always say, what does it mean that we can't even communicate with our own family members? What does it mean for the state of the world? That's what I'm talking about. What does it even mean for the state of the world? It means exactly that. You have to radically accept it. And then you have to ask yourself, okay, what do I do now? You can give up, nihilistic spiral. You can stay focused and move towards the future. You can meditate in the mountains for the next 50 years. There's a lot of things you could do. There's billions of things you could do. The question is, which one are you going to do it? So first you have to accept people and the world for what it is. And then you have to do something anyways. And that something can just look like harm reduction.
Walk through some of these terms, if you don't mind me asking. I would love to, Bob, I would love to understand what you mean when you say communism. Like, what do you think?
Chat says, promise this is in good faith and there's plenty to discuss about Hassan. Do you think there's a chance the Destiny bubble might have covertly influenced your relative lack of charitability towards him? When I was in this space, yes, because I didn't know who Hassan was, like I didn't know who Destiny was. I was very hard on Hassan initially. This is me going easy on him. This is me liking Hassan. When I didn't like Hassan because I believed Destiny's story about Hassan, the betrayal and everything, I was so critical towards Hassan. And then I did my own research and I was like, holy fuck, all these people lied to me, bro. Hassan didn't do those things. This is me being very fucking charitable to Hassan. Yeah, there was a time in my career, if you think I'm harsh now, you should have seen me then when I believed what people told me. And now I don't even believe it. But this is me being charitable. Now I'm just looking at him as a man in a position of power who's a millionaire and who has the biggest microphone on the left. He has to be held to a higher standard. He has to. Because otherwise, if he understood the position of power he was in, he would give it up or he would take it more seriously. Imagine if any of us had that position of power. You have to criticize these people with this amount of power. Okay? That's the problem. You can't have it both ways. You can't be the number one guy, the only guy ever mentioned for the left, and then not be held any accountable, never criticized. I understand, never criticized by the left. Like, who cares what conservatives think about Hassan? Literally, who cares about what liberals think? But he should care about what progressive queer people think. He should care what minorities think. He should understand that some of us are looking at him like, and he is also, the fact that he is the most popular guy is because of white supremacy, right? Is because of this is the best the world can produce. Guys, remember, if you're popular, it's probably not a good sign. If people have like that, and I don't mean that like Hassan should hate himself because he's popular, but he should understand that he is very popular. He's the guy in high school who's popular and like is trying to deny it. Like, you cannot deny he's popular. Shouldn't that make you go, huh, why is he so popular? Why is he so digestible? Why is he so liked? It makes you wonder, like, is he doing enough? Because sometimes I think, like, when you're that liked, you might not be doing enough, you know? But then at the same time, I understand from his perspective, he feels like everybody hates him. I'm just looking at the data, just the numbers. It doesn't matter that he feels like people hate him. He is the guy. He is literally the guy. You know what I'm saying? Okay, that's why. So did I answer your question? You said, yeah, his misogyny is absolutely a huge problem for me. I used to love watching him, but I rarely can stomach it nowadays. The whole, what's this? Radlib dismissed of POC gender issues is disheartening. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I agree. And again, I'm not upset that Hassan is the guy. I just think we should call it into question in a very progressive way, very loving way, you know? Okay, I'm glad I answered your question. So yeah, like I used to, when I was because I didn't know who anybody was. So I was going off of what people were telling me. I used to think even worse of Hassan. I thought he was some Machiavellian narcissist or something. Found out that was actually Destiny. Oops, my bad. Okay, but I came out and I said it, my bad. Okay, I will always correct myself. My bad. I got informed. My bad. You know what I mean? But I also think like people forget what that space was like. Like, you know, I was just thinking about it the other day. And this is so funny because this relates. The timeline is very hard for people to keep up with. Like, you remember how Destiny did that whole like manipulation of Anna where he like gaslit her and convinced all of us she was stalking him. And then we found out he was sexting her. Super evil. People were like, if you knew that, why did you just keep talking to him? I knew for less than 24 hours. I knew the same weekend I met Destiny for the first time was when I found out basically about Lauren Southern. I found out about Anna. It all happened in a weekend. Like it all happened. You know what I mean? So people have to understand there was no timeline where we all knew for months on end. There's no timeline where we all knew for a year or something. I was only in the space for 2 years total. I only knew Destiny for a year. You know what I'm saying? Like, so when everyone's like, well, didn't you know? I knew, everybody pause. Okay? Like that's the problem. You guys, I think moving forward, I would love to be the girl who the second I hear something, I'm like, I'm over it. I'm leaving. I want to be her. I'm not going to be her in all circumstances though. You know, but yeah, I want to be her. I want to be the girl that hears somebody say something like when Hassan made that rape joke, for me, that was it. I was watching him pretty regularly as like a viewer, like a fun, like I actually was enjoying him. Then he made that rape joke about the college students. And I was like, I can't, dude. I can't. It's not, it was so, I can't. You know what I mean? Like I need a content creator that doesn't make rape victims the joke. And I can't believe that is such a tall fucking ask. You know? It's stuff like that I'm just like, is this the guy? Like, this is it? And me too. Like, I'm not ready to be the guy either, P.S. You know, like, I'm not the guy either. Not yet. Maybe in like 3-5 years, I'll be the guy. But I'm not the guy right now either. I know I'm not. Do they know they're not? You know? Okay.
What do you think Chad believes as far as like
I think
communist beliefs?
Well, I believe communism is Russia and China, and all you have to do is take a look at their countries, and that tells you what you believe if you're a communist. You want to be under total control of the government. You don't want to work for anything. You want freebies handed out left and right, and that's not my way of life, and that's not the way of life I think my kids really want. And at some point in their adult life.
I just love the idea. We're not even going to watch this whole thing, by the way. I want to show you a different clip. It's so funny that he can say, like, I don't want to live under rule. I want to be given choice. My kids want to be a slave to the government. What do you think is happening with ICE and Trump right now? How do our MAGA parents on one side of their mouth say we don't want government control, and the other side, if Trump needs to shoot up a mall, then he can do it? And if my son gets killed along the way, it is what it is. It's like, what? Okay, I skipped through the stream. This is another person's video of the whole stream. I'm using a different person's video to show you this section.
It's wrong. That's the wrong interpretation.
I don't know what other people are talking about. I'm talking about the Crusades where Muslims were fighting Christians.
Yeah, because Christians were coming in to kill Muslims.
Those are hundreds of years ago.
Okay, but how is that relevant to Israel?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. And so because of that, you're cool with $300
Why are
billion?
you jumping over to Israel? What I'm telling you is Christians have been fighting Muslims for hundreds of years. That's a fact, Jack. And you sat here and blow smoke up your listeners' asses. but I'm not going to.
Okay.
No.
All right.
But you brought it up.
Israel has nothing to do with the Crusades.
Wait, why'd you bring it
Now
up
we're, at
then?
the point, now we're at the point where we need somebody in the Middle East to keep a rein on everybody, and the only country we can count on is Israel.
Okay, I'm a little bit confused by what you're trying to say here because we were talking about Israel. You brought up the fact that they've been fighting for hundreds of years. I asked who you mean by they. You said Christians who invaded the region. And that's a little bit confusing to me because like what's going on in Israel right now is not relevant to the Crusades. I don't think so. I don't know why you brought it up.
Well, what you're doing is you're mixing two different stories.
No, you brought it up.
No,
You're
mixing up two different stories. The Christians and the Muslims were fighting hundreds of years ago.
But Bob,
now
I
we've
didn't bring
got
up the Crusades. You
trying to maintain authority in a bad region.
Okay.
I'm trying to understand why you brought up the Crusades in this situation. I guess is it because like the Muslims, if they are not constantly being dominated, they'll like take over? Is that what it is?
No, they try to dominate Christianity. They're doing it now. You don't get that? If you don't get that, I don't know what.
Look, I just muted somebody in chat who I think like, I don't know if you thought that was a good comment to put in my chat, but don't put that in my chat. You said Hassan is a bisexual dude who'd rather be with dudes, but he doesn't want to admit it, so he preys on trans women. And then when I look up your former chats, you're like very sad, RIP Renee Nicole, good. What Donald, you're like, in one side of your mouth, you're saying like, rest in peace, Renee. And the other side of your mouth, you're being transphobic in my fucking chat and making fun of Hassan for a reason unnecessary. So like, you're blocked, okay? So I blocked this commenter just now. Like, no, this is not the community to come here and like be transphobic in a way to dunk on Hassan. And also stop trying to dunk on Hassan. I don't want to dunk on Hassan. Okay? Again, if Hassan wasn't in a position of power and he wasn't the guy, we would probably like be talking about him like it's no big deal. Just like Asmongold. Guys, of course I didn't know the world was going to decide to make Asmongold the number one conservative commentator on politics, apparently. But that's why people have to talk about him now. You think I want to talk about any of these people? The only reason we have to talk about them is because they're in the news, they're trending. And look, I love talking about people to get to the point, though. That's the thing. When I say you think I want to talk about these people, I'm saying, do you think I care about the consciousness that is Hassan? I don't care about Hassan, the consciousness. I don't care about Kim Kardashian, the consciousness. I care about the fact that they represent something that we have to pay attention to get to the other side of it. And, of course, we want to humanize the consciousness that is Hassan and Kim Kardashian. But, like, they're comment worthy because they are the people. But I, Brittany, have no, like, state. Like, I have no connection to, like, those people. You know what I mean? Like, they're all strangers. Okay?
What you're doing.
You think Muslims are trying to dominate Christianity?
Yes.
Where are they? In America? They're doing this?
It's happening everywhere. Starting in America right now.
It's starting in America right now. Okay.
Now, reminder that my parents are Assyrian, Chaldean Assyrians, right? So they're Catholic Assyrians, and they also say the same things, the Crusades and Muslims, and how Catholics saved the universe from the Muslims, and how Muslims, and like, my parents are super bigoted, you know, when we kids have ever been like, hey, can I, like, what do you think about this person? I want to date them. The first thing they ask is like, what's their background? What's their history? And if they find out they had a history of like having a Muslim family, even if they're atheist, they go, no, you can't, you know, that's coming from a place like that's coming from Iraq. That's full of Muslims, you know? So it's very, very MAGA coded. It's very, you know, even earlier when the guy was like, oh, is that the only reason you don't like Obama? He's a liberal. He probably was a birther person. You know, my parents are. My mom was all like, do you think Obama's a citizen? I was like, can you please chill, bro? This is what I'm saying. Like, the same way probably a lot of the Latino community feels about their family voting, and then now ICE is picking up family. That's how a lot of us feel about our immigrant parents, where it's like, you know, you would think you would have more empathy for this position, but they don't. Okay. And the same way that we do this with all minorities, we think, oh, minority, you'll have compassion. Minority, you'll have empathy. Nope. No. You know?
In America, it started happening in America probably, I would say, year 1 or 2 of the Obama administration.
Oh. And you think Trump is fighting against it now? He's aware of it and fixing that problem?
Trying to stand up for it. Yeah.
Oh my God, did this person literally make a different account and come into my chat right now? Bro, you're going to get blocked again. You literally came with a second account. Consent doesn't matter to you, apparently. You said, number one, what I said was not transphobic. He's not really into women, fully obvious. I mean, you clearly like women. What would you know about men? That was very autistic of you. And then you literally like you're like, you people are always one-sided. Stay off the internet if complex ideas hurt your brain. Habibi, take your bigotry somewhere else. Stop making fake accounts just to prove your point. Literally. This is what I'm saying. Like, come on now.
Yes.
Okay.
Wait, how do you feel about Trump being buddies with my buddy Zoran, who is Muslim? I'm Muslim too, by the way, but that's besides the point. But
you're not Muslim, bro. Stop. That's the other thing. You're not a Muslim. In the same way, I'm not a Catholic. Y'all do not practice. You know what I'm saying? I really don't like this about religious people. When was the last time Hassan properly practiced being a Muslim? When was the last time he prayed 5 times a day, bro? When? He streams all day. Has anyone ever seen him pray on stream? Does this man get up and pray on stream? Stop calling yourself a Muslim for credit. You're not. Okay? I hate that shit, bro. Don't stop it. You're not. You were raised a Muslim, which is different. Okay? That's different.
I am actually trying to do takia, Bob. I don't know if you know what that is.
Don't know what it is. Are you trying to take over the country?
Yeah, I'm trying to take over the country. Yeah, I want to do.
I don't like it anymore.
Trying to make America great again.
Yeah, I'm trying to take over the country and do woke Sharia.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. You know how we got ICE agents for all transgender ICE agents going door to door to make sure that everyone is saying their pronouns?
That's funny. I think we need to switch topics. Can I be the assistant here to switch?
What do you have something you want to say, Mom? Do
you have another topic? But it's none of this.
Okay.
What about those Clintons? They got subpoenaed, but they're not going to go. They both declined.
Yeah.
What do you guys think about that?
I hope
they need to be held accountable.
You know what?
I just love that the Clintons need to be held accountable, but not Trump. That's why in my latest podcast, if you haven't seen it, and you definitely should check it out, the Brittany Simon podcast, different channel, go check it out. Why conservative men are predators is because you guys literally have the audacity to say, what about Bill Clinton? Instead of saying, get them both. Progressives say, get them both, baby. Liberals say, what about Trump? And conservatives say, but what about Clinton? Yeah, both of them, baby. All of them. Okay? Take all of them. Okay? Now, again, when we have this conversation about Trumpers and our MAGA family, okay, this whole stream isn't even about this. We're not going to watch this whole thing. Listen, I think it's irresponsible for Hassan to even show himself wearing a MAGA hat. In this climate, in this day and age, I don't even know why you would wear it as a meme. It just feels very much like, I'm not saying the MAGA hat is literally like wearing a swastika, but it is pretty close. Do you know what I'm saying? It's not literally, it can't be. Literally, I understand that. I'm an adult. But it is pretty close given the state of the world. So it feels very irresponsible to me. Now, later in the stream, he puts on this hat.
Say.
Our government.
Our government. Yeah. It's busted. They don't care. They don't care if we have health care. They don't.
Okay, and the hat was a meme. I think him and Ethan were on Leftovers. Okay, that's funny, and I get it. And I'm not, okay, I get it. And I think in the right context, maybe that would have been funny. But I just don't see the humor in this collaboration as much as other people do. And I think it's unnecessary to give these people a platform. And I think the son and the daughter are doing more harm than good by platforming their parents. I do, you know? But with that said, you do you. I'm just giving it, I'm adding it to the part of the commentary about MAGA and forgiving MAGA and moving on. Because also, I deeply love my MAGA family, and I will do everything in my power to give them as many tools as I can for them to deconstruct their bigotry. Okay, so let's move on to things your mom should have told you. She's a YouTuber. You've probably seen her.